I would like to talk about creating a character with compassionate curiosity. For years, I thought that great acting meant transforming into someone completely different. Then, I realized that wasn't the secret at all. In this video, I would like to introduce the concept of compassionate curiosity and how you can use it to enhance and deepen your approach to building a character. Every actor has asked some version of the same question. How do I become this character? It's a fascinating question and perhaps not an entirely accurate one. The most transformative performances rarely come from actors who try to become another person. Instead, they emerge from actors who become intensely curious about the character as another human being. So they stop asking, how do I play this character? And begin asking, who is this person? That difference can really be profound. At the heart of every compelling performance is what some refer to as compassionate curiosity. It is a practice of approaching every character free from judgment and with the same open-hearted interest you would bring to someone that you genuinely want to understand. And this may be the single most important tool that every actor can develop. Every character believes they're right. One of the quickest ways to jam up your process is to decide who the character is before you actually meet them. The villain, the narcissist, the addict, the cheater, the abuser. These are conclusions, and conclusions are ideas. Actors don't play ideas. They bring human beings to life. No one wakes up believing that they are the villain in their own story. Every person is making the best decision they believe that they can with the emotional tools, experience, wounds, and desires available to them in that moment. Your job as the actor is not to agree with the character. Your job is to understand why their actions make perfect sense to them. That's where compassionate curiosity brings you. Curiosity before diagnosis. Actors often rush into psychological explanations. This character has abandonment issues. This character has low self-esteem. They're emotionally unavailable. These observations might be true, but they often arrive prematurely. Instead of rushing to a diagnosis, try keeping yourself in a place of wonder. In other words, rather than asking, what's wrong with this person? Ask, what are they protecting? What do they desperately need? What are they so afraid of? What would hurt too much for them to admit? And what do they believe about the world that makes this behavior logical? Curiosity keeps the character organic and alive for you. Rushing into a diagnosis puts them in a box. Compassion is not approval. This is a crucial distinction. Compassion for your character does not mean that you excuse their harmful behavior. It doesn't mean that you agree with the cruelty. It also doesn't mean that you have to pretend that destructive actions are acceptable. Compassion means refusing to define a character based on their worst moment. An actor can portray a murderer, a manipulator, or an abuser with complete emotional honesty, and they don't have to endorse the character's choices. Your responsibility as the actor is not about moral judgment. Your responsibility is about truthful human understanding. This distinction has an immediate impact in your process of building the character. When an actor secretly hates their character, it can be felt. When an actor genuinely understands their character, we lean in. Try to replace judgments with questions. Imagine you're meeting your character over coffee. They're telling you about the worst thing they've ever done. Would you interrupt them and tell them how horrible you think they are? Maybe. But most likely, you'd start by asking questions. How did that happen? What were you hoping would happen? What did you think you were protecting? What did you lose? This is the same kind of attitude that you as an actor can bring into your investigative work on your character. Instead of collecting evidence against the character, try asking the compassionate questions that help you gather the evidence about their humanity. Every behavior solves a problem. One of the most useful ways to approach behavior is to assume that every action, even unhealthy ones, is attempting to solve a problem. Anger may protect vulnerability. Control may create a sense of safety. Perfectionism may be a way of receiving love. Avoidance may be a way to prevent rejection. Humor may hide grief. Arrogance may conceal shame. Human behavior is never random. It's justifiable, even if it no longer serves the person. Once you can understand the problem that the behavior is trying to solve, the character becomes infinitely more playable. Curiosity builds specificity. Specific acting comes from curious observation, and curiosity naturally builds details. When you're curious, you begin noticing things like, how does this person enter a room? What do they notice first? What do they avoid looking at? When are they compelled to interrupt during a conversation? What kinds of silence makes them uncomfortable? What significant memories do they often revisit? What smells reminds them of home? Is there one person who taught them how to love? These details always inspire your belief system and automatically influence your behavior. And behavior is the thing that brings the character alive and reveals their humanity. Compassion expands your emotional range. When you stop judging the character, you are free to experience the full range of their emotional life. You commit fully to the character's rage because it feels justified. Heartbreak penetrates much deeper because you understand what was lost. Joy becomes more authentic because you understand how high the stakes are. As soon as you build compassion for your character, everything becomes richer. The actor as anthropologist. Imagine approaching every script with the same curiosity and objectivity as an anthropologist studying a newly discovered culture. The same is true for the individual character. Instead of deciding who you think they are, you become fascinated with how they behave. You notice the rhythms of their speech, the stories they tell themselves, the habits that they developed in order to survive, and the inconsistencies that make them human. Contradictions are no longer problems that you have to solve. They're discoveries. A character who is generous one moment and cruel the next isn't just inconsistent. They are revealing the complexity of a life shaped by experiences that you don't yet fully understand. Originality in acting often doesn't come from something you invent. It comes from something you uncover. By resisting the urge to categorize too quickly, you allow the character to emerge organically from careful observation. The work becomes less about imposing your interpretation and more about faithfully translating a human being that you have come to know. Just like good anthropology, this process requires humanity and compassion. You acknowledge that your worldview is only one among many, and that the character's logic might be completely different within the context of their own life. Even choices that initially seem completely irrational become understandable once you've discovered the values and the circumstances that produce them. Patience is essential. The most rewarding insights rarely come after the first read-through. At some point, the character stops feeling like a collection of traits, and it starts to feel like someone whose behavior surprises you in ways that, nonetheless, make perfect sense. This approach pairs extremely well with Stanislavski's principle of avoiding premature conclusions. The less quickly you define a character, the more room there is for genuine discovery in rehearsal and performance. The invitation. The next time you receive a script, resist the urge to decide who the character is after the first read. Instead, hang back, open your heart, imagine that you are meeting a stranger, someone complicated, someone contradictory, someone trying, failing, loving, protecting, surviving, someone who has reasons, someone who deserves to be understood before they're interpreted. Because the craft of acting isn't about pretending to be someone else. It's about becoming curious enough that another human being begins to make perfect sense. And if we find our compassion with another character, we can begin to find ourselves. And perhaps that's what great acting's always been. Not transformation through imitation, but transformation through understanding. When we can replace judgment with compassionate curiosity, a character stops feeling like a role that we have to perform and starts to feel like a person to discover. And discovery is where original, profound, and unforgettable performances begin. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Click on the description below for links to our website and to learn more about the new Collective Acting Studio and our private coaching membership. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.